My name is Deborah Benedict, and I represent the Loft Fine Art. And this is called Artful Discussions number 3, something that we think is very important to have to bring interesting people and interesting art, music, and discussion together. Today, I am going to represent some of our inventory. These are the paintings, prints rather, of Marc Chagall. If they were the real prints, if they were the real actual paintings, we would be in a museum. But I guess this is kind of a local museum, and I believe very strongly in supporting local artists and local business. I'm going to read from one of my favorite books. It's called Chagall from A to Z. This was a book that I would put on the desk of my students at Anchor Bay High School, and I have to say it was the favorite. And I'm not going to go with A through Z. I'm going to start with letter K, okay? Kaleidoscope. Chagall is a storyteller who uses colors to his stories. Often on a canvas, he juxtaposes successive episodes from the same story. The painting Me and My Village makes one think of a kaleidoscope, that magic cylinder in which the play of mirrors creates a multitude of images. In this painting, bursts of life are organized around a central circle. All mixes together the past, the present, and the make-believe. Marc Chagall depicts himself at the right with a green face and white lips. Through the play of his eyes with those of a white cow, as you can see right here, and that's very unusual, he makes houses of painted wood, a girl milking a cow, and a man going to reap the meadow appear. Everything is very strange. Some of the houses are pitched on their roofs, and a woman is upside down. All appears as in a dream. So I just think it's important to point out that Marc Chagall has a very ethereal kind of quality, and he always has things floating in his paintings. He always has repeated motifs also of certain animals, and depicts his wife with whom he was very much in love. Marc Chagall was born in Russia, but he moved to France for the majority of his life, of where he created, and then he moved to southern France, and I just wanted to make that the focal point of my discussion about Marc Chagall today. I was only 21 years old. To be honest with you, I didn't know much about Marc Chagall, but a friend of mine who plays the violin brought me to Marc Chagall's museum in Nice, France. And while I was there, of course I was so impressed to see the original work where he once lived, and now it's a museum. However, what really struck me were the gardens. The gardens were filled with mosaics, and I asked who created these, and they said Marc Chagall. The mosaics were beautiful. They were a little bit different, a little bit less ethereal, a little bit less whimsical, but you still could see the repetition of beautiful blues and pastel colors that Marc Chagall is very, very famous for. So I will never forget being in the garden in Nice, France, and surrounded by the love of art and Marc Chagall's work there. There's also some more to look at on this side. As you can see, he puts a lot of France into his work. Here we have the Eiffel Tower. Once again, things are floating. I think that he's very, very known for that. Here's another lithograph that we own, and these are owned by the Loft Fine Art, and they are for sale. And then we have, again, the love that he feels for his wife. And many times in his art, he goes back to being in Russia. And this is one example of that, where he tried to create the hometown in which he lived and how it might look in his village. And I want to make sure that Kim and Dean get to see that too. Soren Soto is with us today. He's a local artist. I'm not going to get choked up. Soren Soto is an artist, a composer, a musician, a former employee, and most of all, a friend. And he's here today to represent his art, and I wrote a very short poem because he had this one piece here about an elephant, and as you can see, that's kind of a motif that's going on, and I wrote, "An elephant never forgets, nor fails to appreciate true talent, and with tusks of perseverance, He lifts the heaviest load and creates a masterpiece. So I just thought that, I always think that the work of Soren Soto is of most museum quality. I truly do. He's original. He's very, very honest in his work, as well as in life. And I am very honored to introduce to you Soren Soto. So after the coffee round is done, please tell us a little bit about your inspiration and if there's any piece you want to elaborate on. And then Soren also composes music, and a little bit later on he's going to play some of his music. So welcome, and Soren, take it out.
Okay. So the art you see on the wall right now is actually from my last show, which was around, I think, like June 16th. It was called Distortions, and it was primarily focused on exploring my own anxieties, which might be coming forward right now, about other people's perceptions, about what they think you are, who they think you are, or and kind of like trying to not let that define you, but struggling to do so. I don't really have anything particular to say about any one piece, but if any of you have any questions, I would love to answer them. So, thus the discussion part.
I have a question.
Yep.
At what age did you start creating art?
I was always kind of like doodling. Like my great aunt used to bring home these like big things of like paper that were all connected, and she would put them across the table, and we'd just like go like around and up and down the line and just kind of draw with crayons, like all these weird quirky things. And I started doing it again when I was like in middle school, and then I stopped for like a really long time. And actually then, I think I actually started like painting when I started working with you guys, which is really cool, you know.
Yeah, how many years ago did you start working with us? I'm not very good with numbers.
I worked for 4 years, so I think it was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Soren came to us, he was recommended by our former employee, Jessica Versicle, who now lives in the Netherlands with her fiance. And so it's been a nice progression. Like Nelson and I, we don't make any money doing this, but the richness of our gallery has been seeing our employees grow. And I just wanted to thank also Maria D'Agostini, who's our current gallery manager, and I want to thank Nick Uzon, who is working with us now and doing such a great job. So I think that Soren's art is wonderful, and I hope that you get over and talk with him a little bit, and a little bit longer, you're going to play us some music.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, this piece is called Rumoroso, which means noisy in Italian. And as you can see, the like figure is kind of like a melting, like swirling thing of colors. And I like this piece because it reminds me of kind of like social anxiety. I experience that on a like kind of regular basis, and it helps me think about how it feels in terms of like visual. Rumoroso means noisy, so it's like I was going for like this kind of feeling of like noisy, but more so feelings that are like loud and hard to manage because there's so many of them, and that's why there's so many like colors. Yeah, so that's Rumoroso. This is also one of the only ones I did this like weird signature. I was experimenting with different types of signatures. So yeah, that's one of my pieces. Thank you.